I want what I want. Lube, lube, lube. Oh, I love queer people. Hi, y'all. This is Jace, she, they, and you found Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance novels. It is time for another What I Read This Week book roundup. This week was April 14th through April 20th. I read 5 books. 3 of them were physical and 2 of them were ebooks. Get your comfy sexy on. I am wearing a sweater with my rattiest sweatpants. You will not see them. Grab your beverage of choice. I finished my tea already, and let me share what I read. The first book I read was The Heir by Ava Rani. This is book 2 in the Biotech Billionaires trilogy. This book follows Sloane's brother, Henry. Henry is the heir apparent to their family business, and at the end of book 1, he is voted in as interim CEO. He's a bit of a fuckboy and goes through models and ballerinas and is on page 6 and is talked about in the press. And so the board of the company actually puts him on probation. He has to keep his image clean for a year before they will vote him in permanently as CEO of the company. He's ready, he's capable, but his image really bothers them. Sloane hires a PR consultant in order to help Henry stay out of the media for the following year. Sloane is in charge of the family trust, so it's not the business that hires our PR consultant, it's Sloane and the family. Selena is who Sloane hires. Selena is part of a PR company. She has a really great reputation. She's had a bit of a problem year. She had some family drama and is hoping to relocate to LA where she's originally from. And her boss says, you've got a year on this account. If you can keep Henry out of trouble, I will transfer you to our LA office and you can in fact head that office. So for Selena, this is a huge career opportunity, not just getting to work with Henry and Sloane and the family, though she's really just working with Henry, but also the opportunity to head the LA office and to leave New York. Henry and Selena don't get along at first. Henry's really reluctant to even have her. He's mad that he has to deal with PR. He thinks he can handle this on his own. And Selena doesn't enjoy working with a client who is combative, who's frustrating, who doesn't want to listen to her. When Selena and Henry meet, there is an instant attraction. The lust is off the charts. Both of them have so much riding on this next year that the idea of complicating their business relationship with lust or physical feelings is out of the question, but that doesn't last very long. The two of them fight to stay away from each other. Henry is jealous. Sloane is trying to maintain business relationships, but they do end up dating in secret. And the two of them do a pretty good job of keeping their relationship purely professional. There are a few gifts. Henry notices that Sloane really likes this class and he pays for her to take it and he lets her have the time off. There are billionaire gestures, but they feel really authentic and very personal. There's a quote, and I'll get to it later, about how billionaires throw money around, but it doesn't feel like that when it comes to her. They do eventually, as I said, start secretly dating, and when it's found out, there's a lot of drama that comes up. Turns out that Selena's history, what she's trying to get away from, is that she's the illegitimate daughter of someone in the upper echelon of New York society. She didn't know until she was in fact working for the family. And when she tried to open up a relationship with her biological dad, she was shunned so hard, and in a move that was, yes, petty, but also valid, she revealed some secrets about the family finances to the media. In order to sweep everything under the rug, she signed an NDA, the family signed an NDA, so she can't talk about the fact that she's the biological daughter of this person, and they won't sue her or talk about the fact that she leaked this information. Henry has a few trust issues, and he does some digging into her past, finds out about the NDA. Well, really, her cousin-ish thing tells him about the NDA, which breaks the NDA, so I don't know what this character was trying to prove. And he behaves badly. He does some groveling and eventually wins her back. She only wanted to go to LA because she felt like she couldn't stay in New York with the umbrella of drama from her family hanging over her. but she also doesn't want to be run out of New York, this place that's made her really happy. In the end, you can guess, they get together. This was not my favorite. I preferred The Spare to this book. Not that it was poorly written or anything. I don't know why I keep reading billionaires that aren't morally gray, because I find them kind of boring. With Sloane, we had this understanding and this conflict within her about her place in the world, especially as an Indian American woman. Henry doesn't have that. Selena is Latina, but we don't get much of her culture or the conflict that brings. It really felt very generic billionaire. That's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. But it also meant that I didn't highlight a lot in this book. Not bad things and not great things. If you love Billionaire, I find Ava Rani really fun. And I know that the third book, because I've already read it and it will be talked about in this video, is about my favorite character, Xander. He has been my favorite since the beginning. And if you love Billionaire, I highly recommend this trilogy. Here are my notes. There's a lot of plot stuff. My note is, I do love a little jealousy. Selena is in his office and she's talking to someone who works for the company with Henry. I could deal with the fact that I couldn't stop thinking about her and she hated me later. Right now, Preston Scott needed to get lost or transferred to the Dubai office or killed. In that moment, I didn't care. He just needed to get away from her. Lol. I do love a bit of jealousy. I feel like jealousy is one of those emotions that keeps people who are very tightly reined, who gets them to let loose and express themselves properly. She mentions this class to Henry, and she finds the Columbia Blue folder was embellished with the school's crest. Inside was the syllabus and course materials for a landscape photography intensive, taught by one of the best landscape photographers in the world. It was offered every year at Columbia for a month and was something I wanted to do when I was an undergrad. It was an additional class on a course load and tuition payment that were already too high, so I decided against it. And this had just shown up for her. And what she says about it, the gesture was stuck in my heart. Rich people gave each other extravagant gifts all the time, and it meant nothing because to them money was nothing. This was different. And I do believe that this gift, this use of money and influence, was a good choice, because it is unique. It's not something that you could give to any other woman. It means that he was listening to her, heard what she wanted, and made it happen, took the effort to make it happen. And I like gestures like that, regardless of the money that is spent on them. I think when they're personal, when they're that personal, they're so much more impactful. He got her security. Drake was silent and a little scary. He was an ex-Marine turned private security. He assured me his only job was to ensure my safe passage, but it seemed like overkill to send a former special ops sniper to drive me around. I think he's a little protective of you. I wonder why. And then this is my note that it is a slow burn. So he takes her to a castle, and my note for this is, "Sir!" exclamation point. It would be impolite if I didn't kneel before a throne. A devious grin tugged at just one side of his face as he inched my panties down my legs. I lifted my hips momentarily to let him. And I am nothing if not polite. You can guess what happens next. It was reminiscent of another book with a throne scene. After her cousin kind of spills the beans about her breaking an NDA and releasing family secrets, he sends a private investigator after her, but doesn't wait to figure it all out. He explodes at her in a rage. And so my note to this is, yes, stop it. I pushed his hands off my face and took a step back from him. You don't get to do that. You don't get to go behind my back, pull up everything from my past, and then get protective when you realize you were wrong. And that's true. You behaved badly. You don't get to be protective and say, well, I did it because. No, you behaved badly. That's everything that I highlighted in this book. Was it my favorite? No. Did I like The Spare better? Yes. Is it going to stop me from reading The Charmer? Absolutely not. I finished that book this week. I heated up some more tea. The next book I read was Fearless by Lauren Roberts. This is the third book in the Fearless trilogy. No, in the Powerless trilogy. While many people have feelings about how the series ended, I felt satisfied at the end, but the way that we got there was sometimes a lot. This book was a lot. I'm gonna be ruining things, not just from this book, but also from books 1 and 2, Powerless and Reckless. So if you haven't read the series or you don't love the spoilers, I might skip over this part. At the end of Reckless, Kitt, who is now king because Paedyn murdered his dad when he was trying to kill her. A lot has happened. It's 2 big books. We're now at the 3rd book. Kitt announced that he was planning to marry Paedyn. Now this is great because Paedyn thought she was about to be executed, but it's also terrible because Paedyn and Kai, Kitt's brother, are in love. And they are so in love. Their depth of feelings for one another felt so much more adult than YA. It is zero spice because it's a YA book, but the depth of their feelings for one another, especially in Reckless, just broke my heart into a million pieces. Now in this book, we have to deal with Paedyn being alive. Her full name is Paedyn. Her nickname is Pae. Her betrothal to Kitt. Her feelings about being torn from Kai. And we have the general upheaval from the country of having a person without powers now be in a position of power. Kitt decides to put her through trials, which was very reminiscent of the first book where she went through the trials. They went fast. The first trial, in my opinion, took way too little time. The amount of effort, words, and time she was given for the trial was just not enough. You can't ask her to solve a centuries-old mystery and find a lost artifact in 12 hours. So it didn't feel like it was setting the rest of the book up for success when that was trial number 1. I will say the rest of it got better. The following trials took time, took effort, were well described, and gave a lot of not just pathos but depth and urgency to what was happening. Pae and Kai are still so in love, and Kai is burdened with this knowledge that he will have to watch the woman he loves from afar. He will have to watch her love, or not even love, but be with another man. And once they are married, he can never have her. He would not. And he can't abandon his brother, his post, his role within this kingdom, because he feels very passionately about it. He loves his brother. He loves this kingdom. He would never abandon it, but he can't bear to watch the woman he loves from afar. It's so heartbreaking. Toward the end of this book, there are a lot of secrets that are revealed. The second trial has her and Kai going across this terrible sea to try and deliver an offering of peace to a nearby kingdom to open up trade again. And it is treacherous. They almost do not survive the trip there and back. The third trial was so heartbreaking. It was Pae fighting to the death against Kai, or so we thought. I will ruin this for you. It wasn't Kai, it was Malachi, who we met in Powerful, the little novella, and let me just say, he deserved better. He was so wonderful in that fucking novella, and then this is what he got in the 3rd book. I know there's another novella coming from Lauren Roberts, and it better give Malachi some justice, or Max some justice, because I was so mad about that. But Pae thinks that she's killed Kai, and Kai has been drugged and doesn't realize what's happening. It is so dramatic and it is so heartbreaking. She almost dies over and over and over again. Like really, it's a hard trial to witness. And then as the wedding gets closer and closer, secrets are revealed. Parentage is revealed. And it gets very messy very quickly. I honestly haven't looked up the discourse on how people felt about this book because I don't care. Everyone is going to have an opinion about where they want the story to go, except me. I wasn't really thinking about it. The way that I view, especially endings of trilogies like this, is do I feel satisfied at the end? I try, in fact, not to think about where I believe the story should go or how it should end. Did I want the ending to include Pae and Kai together? Of course I did. That's the love story. That's the whole point of the fucking romance. So the only reason I would have been mad is if that didn't happen. But in terms of the nuts and bolts of how this occurred, some of the revealing of secrets felt really rushed and fast. There are things that we didn't learn that I wish I had learned. I don't necessarily feel like I have the whole picture of the world and of the parentage and of the things that happened. But do I agree with how the story as a whole ended? Yeah, I do. I think it was a well done series. I think the trilogy was very satisfying. I think for a fucking 18-year-old to imagine this world and be done writing it by the time she's 23, that's incredible. Give her some fucking credit for it. Here are my notes. Every brutal act is born of love. Kai, like just the yearning. I thought I'd known torment, and he has. He was tortured by his father until it wrapped around her finger, and he's talking about her engagement ring. I would spend the rest of my days making her flower crowns if she wanted to be a queen. And this is a callback to them lying in a field of poppies, but my queen, not Kitt's, not Ilya's, mine. This line, then pretend, is from the second book as well. In the second book, Kai has gone to hunt for Paedyn and has to bring her back as a fugitive from justice. And there are moments when they say, let's pretend that we're not these people. And it's when they can be vulnerable and show that the love that they have for each other is real, and the depth of it broke my heart every fucking time. Darling, I'd be in this bed beside you if my brother hadn't slipped a ring on your finger. His mouth hovers dangerously close to my own, especially so considering the distraction I'm seeking. And every inch of him will most definitely do the trick. I want him desperately, recklessly, and the embodiment of those feelings falls from my lips in the form of a single traitorous sentence. So slip it off. I feel his head shake above me, feel his nose rub against mine. He groans softly in a way that tells me he's restraining himself from happily obeying my command. The rough fingers that aren't currently cupping my jaw find their way to the band around my finger. I could, he murmurs, so easily I could. His thumb slides over my knuckles. The problem wouldn't be taking that ring off. It would be getting me to put it back on. I shut my eyes, as though that could hide me from his words, from the reminder of my fate. I am betrothed to the king, and yet my heart beats for his brother. I know, I whisper, unable to muster anything more. The yearning! My reaction to the people want to send you back into your own trials is, what the fuck? I thought, this is why I don't guess things, one of the things she had to test was her benevolence, and I thought she would have to be benevolent by forgiving the woman who killed her best friend. That did not happen. Hey, his voice is ragged. I would lose my life for you before finding something else worth living for. His fingers weave into my hair, slide along the back of my neck. You are my inevitable, in life and in death. Ellie spills, who's a servant that Pae has been, working with since the first trials in the first book, spills the beans about Adina and Mac. Pae, before she killed the previous king, he cut her from throat to above her heart and carved an O above her heart for ordinary. And she does reveal that to Kitt. My note is, this better not be a story where we find out he didn't get rid of the baby and the baby is Pae. Turns out that the previous king had a secret daughter after Kitt with his first wife, and first wife died in childbirth for that daughter. Daughter is an ordinary. By the look on my face, you know the answer to that. My note is, wait, so is Kai not the king's? Edric slides his skeptical gaze to the stiffening woman. Pae is like witnessing a memory. You already have a child? She does, the advisor answers on her behalf. He is still a babe, barely a year old, and could easily be passed off as your own. Again, when I said secrets are revealed, secrets are revealed. Oh, this is for the third trial. My note is, I'm gonna lose my shit if he's dead, while she's weeping over his fucking body. Kitt, my next note was it Mac? When Kitt says, but this wielder came to us, he knew the risks and decided to fight anyway. And then when it was revealed as Mac, I went, no! Me commenting more about Mac's death. I'm pretty mad about this. Kitt, over the course of this book, also becomes more and more sickly. He loses weight, he's thin, he starts losing his mental faculties. And my note is, do we ever find out what's wrong with Kitt? And it's not about a quote in any particular moment. Is he paler than usual? His lips are chapped, gray gaze bleary above them. This is something we've been noticing over the course of the book. I stare at the queen, she stares up at me, and my notice fucking knew it because the queen looks just like Paedyn. And then everything is just so messy. I don't need to talk about it. It's just like the last bit of mess. If you need spice, don't read this series. If you don't like yearning, don't read this series. If you don't like fantasy, don't read this series. But I feel like if you liked Once Upon a Broken Heart, that series by Stephanie Garber, you might really enjoy this trilogy too. Next book is Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Liese. I'm gonna get the thing that annoyed me most off of my chest right now. This is not a retelling of Much Ado About Nothing. Her name may be Beatrice, his middle name is Benedict, and they have a bad meet not cute and are sassy toward another. Their friends try to set them up. But the story at large is not Much Ado. If you can get over that, it's a great book. But when I heard Much Ado retelling and then read this, I got so mad. When I was able to let it go, I actually fell in love with the book and her writing and her style. It's phenomenal. But that one really pissed me off. Beatrice is an autistic artist. She has a really hard time socializing. She's a queer woman, and her sister, who is way more outgoing than she is, and named Julia, convinces her to come to this party that she and her boyfriend are hosting. She goes, and she ends up spilling, I think, 3 drinks on this gentleman her sister wants her to meet, who is Jamie, the sister's boyfriend's friend / roommate. Needless to say, Beatrice and Jamie don't really get along after she spills things on him multiple times. Over the course of the evening, the crew decides to play sardines. Or not sardines, but the one, minnows maybe, where it's like hide and seek, but you join the people seeking if you're found. And Jamie and Bea end up in a closet on the 3rd floor, and in this really tight space have mad physical chemistry. They are so attracted to one another. But they're really sassy, they don't get along, they're very different, and both of them are hard denying their chemistry in any way, shape, or form. Then Bea and Jamie are separately told by sisters and boyfriend that they're getting set up on a blind date. They're given each other's numbers and fake names, and they text over the week before this date that they've both been set up on. And over the course of the week, the banter is good. They like each other. They get to know each other via text. It's cute. They're excited for the date. And then the date happens and they show up and they're so fucking mad about being set up because in person they didn't get along. And her sister and the boyfriend are in fact spying on Bea and Jamie when they meet up for this date. So Bea says, "Hey Jamie, how about we get back at them? We'll fake date and then break up, and they'll feel so bad for setting us up in the first place that they won't ever set us up with other people ever again." And so that's what they do. They fake date, which doesn't follow Much Ado About Nothing's plot. Okay, I'm not totally over it. As Jamie and Bea fake date, they go on real dates and they spend time with each other and they get to know each other. It is very fucking cute. Jamie is just shy and awkward. He's a pediatrician, he has a major anxiety, and he gets overwhelmed in social situations. Bea is autistic, she is an artist, and she has a hard time connecting with people. And as they let their shells, their armor come off, they actually connect really deeply and stupidly prove her fucking sister right. Sister and boyfriend's relationship implodes, but Jamie and Bea's relationship grows and grows and grows. This isn't a terribly spicy book. I did enjoy the spice that happened, but it felt very light to me. This series is only 3 books long. She has a much longer series about siblings. But this series is 3 books, and they're all supposed to be Shakespeare inspired. I think going into the rest of these books, I will assume the lightest of influences from Shakespeare, and so it won't throw me as far as it did with this. The representation in this book is beautiful. Both Bea and Juliet are queer women, and they are very adamant about their queer status, regardless of the gender of the person they're dating. And I love that because so often queerness is erased if the relationship that's presented is straight. Oh, well, you're not queer, you're dating a man. Fuck off. No. Like, pansexuality and biphobia and like all of that bullshit being erased. Here are two queer women dating men, and it does not erase their queerness in any way, shape, or form. There are some really sweet moments. Jamie is a very caring partner, and I will get to those in the quotes because I just fucking died. At the beginning of the party, Bea is hiding in a closet, eating cheese and crackers. Jules comes to pull her out and says, "That might be what you want, but it's not what you need." Bea says, "It's a solid system." I grumble. Jules rolls her eyes. "For eccentric spinsterhood. And long may those days last. But I am talking about my anxiety," which is valid. Social anxiety is real. I have a note that says, "Can we be best friends?" Oh, because she thinks he's so fucking hot. This is it. Oh shit. Now, thanks to my recent deep dive into hot historical romance, I've got even higher expectations for the guy with a name like West. I picture the duty-worn Duke, thighs stretching his buckskin breeches as he walks broodingly across the windswept moors, braced for ducal grandeur. I fight a swell of anxiety as Jules breaks into the trio as West turns and faces me. Oh, and this is my note, about the sister's boyfriend. His name is Jean-Claude, which normally I love, but my note is, why does that feel icky about something he does? And then later down the page, something about Jean-Claude's intensity with my sister makes my skin crawl. And my note is, okay, I'm supposed to feel icky about Jean-Claude. Great. I got the right feeling about him. The curse of fraternal twinship. Similar face, different boobs. It's just a great line. Bea is an artist and she works for a stationery company making artistically erotic stationery. And Jamie is a pediatrician. I don't know if I said that. So this is Jamie showing off some forearms, and Beatrice's response is, "Jesus Christmas, fortify, Beatrice!" They're so attracted to each other. They're talking about the fake dating that they're gonna do. I think our task would feel easier if we felt easier around each other. I press my glasses higher up my nose before shoving my hands into my front pockets. I think we should try to be friends. Which is not the wrong thing when you're fake dating, but my note is, I wanted practice kissing. The moment when she outs herself and he's unfazed. I mislabeled their sexualities. Her twin is bi. She is pan. And one of the other skeevy things that Jean-Claude, the boyfriend, does is erases her bisexuality. He was like, "Oh, you're straight because you're with me." Fuck off. No, she's not. She's bi. This is after Beatrice shares that she's autistic. Gently, he tugs me closer until we're nearly chest to chest, his eyes holding mine. "That means a lot that you told me. It means a lot that you didn't act like you see me differently now." He tucks a strand of hair behind my ear as the wind whips it across my face. "I don't see you differently. I see you better." And that's exactly what it should be. You see them better. He shares about his anxiety too in that conversation. People shouldn't take on something to love and expect it to be convenient for them. You have to meet a living creature where they are and love them for who they are, not who you want them to be. Bea's talking about animals, but Jamie's response is, "I don't think most people come at other humans that way, Bea, let alone animals." Jamie's family are all surgeons, and as a pediatrician, he is in fact looked down on by everyone in his family and talked down to. He's explaining that he's a disappointment to Bea, and her response is, "Don't make yourself small just because someone else has." The way that they support each other is just incredible. Oh, meet disaster. I've been trying to remember this fucking phrase, meet disaster. So Bea has a lot of sensory stuff from her autism, and she has a really hard time with vegetables because of the consistency. And she's over at Jamie's house, opens up his freezer, and finds an inordinate amount of soup. And Jamie is totally embarrassed, but he explains. And my note is, how is that so cute? I made 4 different kinds of veggie puree soups with my fancy blender and froze them. I was going to give them to you, but then I didn't know if it was too much or if you'd even like them. So they're just sitting in there making me feel like a presumptuous weirdo each time I get ice, which is every morning for my breakfast smoothie. Later on the page, she says, "My fake boyfriend isn't supposed to ruin me for everyone else," I whisper. Jamie's eyes fall shut as he drops his forehead to mine. "Sometimes, Beatrice, I want to ruin you for everyone else." It's so fucking cute. Such a slow burn is my note, which is why it's a lightly spiced slow burn. Oh, this is a great conversation. They're about to have sex, and she says, "Lube, I always need it, but with that bludgeon you've got, I am really gonna need it." A furious blush hits my cheeks. "Beatrice." "What?" She says, "You have to know what heat you're packing down there." I don't answer that. "I have lube, same kind I saw you buy at the store that night. I figured you'd need it." I think it's just really cute. They ran into each other at the grocery store. She had lube in her basket, and when he thought about having sex with her, he bought the exact same kind of lube that she had because he knew that she liked it. You will never go wrong with more lube. Always more lube. Talking about sex stuff, which is great. My note is, gosh, he's so wonderful. "With us, there's no long or short. There's what your body needs and mine. No one gets to say otherwise." She's just like having a moment. Whoever made you feel that way, they're not here. It's me and you. All right? Just us. Just us. Tears spill down my cheeks. I fucking love them. That's everything that I highlighted. I really enjoyed this book. There are 2 others. I will most likely read them. It's not much ado. The next book I read was Silver Elite. This is an ARC that I received, a physical ARC. I read it, I highlighted it, but it came out already. So I have the real copy, and yes, I did go through and double check that all of my I like these were in here. I'm gonna use this one because this is where I wrote most of my notes. But the book is here, and I liked it so much I bought it in a hardcover. This is a dystopian romance, and it is the first of, I believe, a trilogy. I loved the world. This is not recently after, the world ended and we blew it up with nuclear. This is hundreds of years. One of my favorite things about this, actually, I will use the real book because then it's out, is this is the map we get at the beginning. And you can see that it kind of looks like North America, but it's an absolutely fucked North America because we fucked it. While there are references to things in the current world, this is hundreds of years in the future. Many, many wars, many, many plagues, many, many disasters since then. So there are a lot of things that are reminiscent of just the humanity that we have now, but it's what would happen if the worst happened. One of the things that did happen was a biological agent in war, and this biological agent caused certain people to develop powers. Now, whenever people get powers, fucked up shit happens, and there was a government where the person in charge had powers, and he made everyone without powers second-class citizens. You couldn't go to school, you were basically labor, slaves, and then there was an uprising, which then made everyone with powers second-class citizens. They were sent to labor camps or killed outright. So, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Everyone is terrible is really how I feel about this book. Ren is 20, and she has an unbelievable amount of power. She has been in hiding. She has been raised by this man named Jim. Her parents are long gone. She's been with Jim since she was about 5 years old. They used to live in the blackness. Jim and her are hiding out as ranchers in an area far away from the cities. And one day there's a young boy who is kidnapped by a wolf thing because everything has been, transformed from radiation. And Ren has an incredible shot and kills this animal through its eye. Soldiers show up to try and get Ren to join the army, see Jim. One of them recognizes him as a deserter, and they arrest him, take him to the capital where he is killed. Ren shows up to try and save Jim. She is unable to, but she is captured by the government, and they say, here are your options: jail or you join the training program for Silver Unit. Silver is the best military unit, and in that unit there are even Silver Elite, Special Forces, the cream of the crop. Ren does not want to be here. She actively tries to get herself kicked out of this program. Before everything went down, she ran into Cross, who she thinks is probably the hottest man ever, but also incredibly egotistical, and she wants nothing to do with him. Cross, it turns out, is in charge of the Silver Unit. So he is in charge of her training, and she is trying to get kicked out of this program from him. He says, I'm not going to kick you out. If you really want to leave, you can go back to jail. And she eventually decides, no, I don't want to go to jail. In the world, there is the government, and there's also the resistance. The resistance are primarily people with powers trying to overthrow the current government. Ren has been trying to help them. Jim doesn't really support them because he's too known an entity in the government to be a useful asset to them. Ren has done a few missions for them and really wants to help, really wants to get involved, really wants to be recruited, and is trying to connect with people for that. It's not really working, but she's doing her best. This reminds me more of the Blood Trials than it does the one with the dragons, if you know what I'm talking about. The chemistry between Ren and Cross is off the fucking charts. The banter is fun. The world is fun. My only complaint is while it says there are people of every different hue, I feel like we didn't get enough racial diversity explicitly stated in this world. There's queerness around, but not racial diversity. And I feel like that is something that definitely could have been added into this future world. It's the only reason this isn't a fucking 5-star book for me, is I wanted you to actively tell me that there were diverse people, then just say there were people of all color and then not mention it again. This ends on a cliffhanger. There was a plot twist that I saw coming. There was a plot twist I absolutely didn't see coming. And I really liked this. There's been a bunch of discourse about this book, and specifically Dani Francis, who is rumored to be the pen name of an established author. And while I have a feeling from what I just said, she is a white author, they are a white author, I don't know who it is. That's the point. I don't know who it is. What I did know is I really liked this book. Is it the best thing I've ever read? No. But is it better than maybe 90% of what I've read this year? Maybe. Pretty damn close. For plot stuff, I'm just going to go over my notes, and then I know all the things that I highlighted that I liked were in the book too. There were just too many plot things that I had to highlight. This is a great note. Nothing good ever comes from the notion that one group is better than another. And that's true. People with powers are not better than people without powers. Everyone is worthy. Here's my note. This is where I predict blank is blankety blank blank blank. That is the prediction I made that is true. And it's on page 52. This is why I like Ren. Some people find power addictive, but I want nothing to do with the one I've been cursed with. I think that people who relish their power, especially power over other people, which is what she has, don't deserve that power. My note was, But the quote was, they're a diverse group when it comes to skin and hair color, but to me, they're all the same. What does that mean, skin and hair color? Are they all white, blonde, like Caucasian? You could be a white person and just really, really tan. So while that statement might have been there to kind of, oh, it's diverse, I didn't feel like it really was built out enough for that sentence to ring true to me. Oh, it's Silver Block, not Silver Unit. Cross, by the way, is the general, the person in charge of everything, the leader of the country, his son. And my note when I found that out was, well, fuck me. This wasn't to a particular line, but he follows her when she's sneaking out, and they're bantering Cross and Ren. And my note in just this session, this like little scene is, he's obsessed with her. I want his POV so badly, which is true. He's so obsessed with her immediately. When they first have their meet disaster, it's not apparent, but once she gets to Silver Block, it is very clear that he's obsessed with her. Ren eventually does connect with the Resistance, and the order they give her is to make it into Silver Elite. So she has to switch modes from I'm trying to fail to I need to be the best of the best. And the Resistance wants her there because then she'll be a good spy for them. That has a really big plot shift and a real big change in her attitude. Ren is trying to sneak into Cross's rooms to steal something. So she's sneaking up onto the balcony. A soft moan echoes through the apartment. Female. And my note is, stop. Hilarious. Because it is. Their tensions. He tries to resist her and succeeds-ish. He calls her Dove. They share their first kiss, and my note is, does this even count? But here's the moment. His lips crash against mine in a fierce kiss. There's no hesitation, no restraint. In that single electrifying moment, my entire body is alive with energy. My hands tangle in his hair and I pull him even closer, as close as I can get him, my body straining against him. As his lips devour mine, every nerve ending screams with sensation, and the world around me fades into oblivion. And then they're interrupted by voices of people around them, and she leaves, and that's it. So my answer was, it does not count. Stupid slow burn. This was just a note that I loved. Paper maps. She's in his office and she sees paper maps, and obviously it's the future. A lot of things are different. But one of the things she says is, I think it would be incredible to own a paper book. And it was very odd and ironic to be reading that line while holding a paper book. She goes, once. I burst out. He blinks. Once what? I'm going to let you have it once. Have it, meaning her. One time, right here, right now. So I love a fucking moment. We got to get it out of our system. Heat flares in his eyes. And then when I walk out the door, it's over. It's out of our system. It doesn't happen again. Do you think it happens again? Do you think it happens again? My note is, because that always works. And then this ends the slow burn. He takes her on a walk to a cave with these crazy flowers that bloom at night in without light. And he says, I thought you might like it. I could have bought you synthetic flowers, a nice little bouquet and a vase of water, but that's not you. He gestures to the flowers that are practically exploding from the cave walls. This is you. Wild, mysterious. And I like that. Like, he sees her and values her. It's very much a respect thing. He wants her desperately, but he also respects her. On chapter 46, my note was, just a reminder, I called this on page 52, which are different pages in the real book. So don't freak out about that. And then I have a bunch of plot stuff at the end. No, I have a big no for the cliffhangers. Yeah, so like there are plenty of queer people represented in this story, just this is an MF story. Oh, I have a big reveal at what? And then all of this, I have like highlights on everything. I really liked it. Is it the best thing ever? No, but it was really fucking good. So read it. I even got it in a hardcover. The last book I read was The Charmer by Ava Rani. This is the third book in the Biotech Billionaires. Straight up, my favorite is still The Spare. I still think that Marcus and Sloane were my favorite couple, but this is Xander's story, and Xander's my favorite character. Sorry. Ava set up Xander's flirt with Penelope in the first book, but this is where it comes to fruition in a marriage of convenience story. Like with most billionaire books, I didn't highlight a ton. I got an arc of this, but it's now out, and like with Silver Elite, I double checked all of my notes. With Silver Elite, there were so many plot things that I literally could not. I just didn't go through all of it. This is all I highlighted. If you can see it, it's not a lot and it's not bad. It didn't spark the joy in me. This also feels like the most billionaire of them, where a ton of money is thrown around in gestures. Are they bad gestures? No, but they're really monetarily large gestures. Penelope works with Sloane at the law firm. She has a lot of family drama. Her parents were married, her mother is English and completely fucking useless. Her dad is from Singapore. While she doesn't live on their money, her inheritance was tied to her mother's divorce settlement. And so it turns out if she doesn't fulfill all the requirements of her inheritance, her mother loses all of her money, which is such a shitty thing for her family to do. One of those things is be married. And her family has already found a candidate, a person that her family does business with, who isn't really a great guy. He seems very controlling, and she obviously doesn't love him. In order to escape that marriage that would be forever, she starts thinking about a marriage of convenience with someone she knows in New York. So she could live in New York, be married for however long was required, and then divorce amicably. She knows a lot of people who are wealthy in their own right, so her inheritance won't mean anything to them, and they won't be trying to get her money from her when they divorce. Xander has been pining for her for years, but he has a lot of issues. He doesn't find himself worthy. He has abandonment issues because his parents died suddenly when he was young. And so while he flirts with Penelope, he doesn't believe that he could ever have her. Penelope has been infatuated with Xander as well, but he's a flirt. He's friends with everyone. She doesn't view how he treats her differently than he treats anyone else. And for that reason, she doesn't believe that he has real feelings for her. It's fucking adorable. The friend group that they're a part of is planning to spend the summer in the Hamptons, and Xander is going to pick up Penelope. Before he can get there, Maddox, the guy that she's betrothed to, shows up demanding she move back to Singapore to marry him. Through machinations that I believe are Sloane's, Penelope is in possession of Xander's mother's engagement ring. She had picked it up from a jeweler to give back to Sloane when she got to the Hamptons. And when Maddox says, it's time for you to marry me, she shoves the ring on her finger and goes, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm already engaged. And then who shows up at her front door to drive her to the Hamptons? But Xander. And so she asks Xander to play along with her and pretend to be engaged in front of Maddox. Xander is over the fucking moon because he hates Maddox and the idea that Penelope is going to marry anyone regardless, but also this asshole is abhorrent to him. So he plays along gladly. When they're driving to the Hamptons, Penelope cannot get the ring off. She's stressed, her blood is pumping, and Xander says, don't worry about it. We'll take it off later when you've calmed down. But when they get to the Hamptons, they've run so late because of traffic that they have to rush to a party with all of their friends. While at this party, Penelope has turned the ring so you can't see the engagement ring. She's being introduced to this man who finds the ring. So fucking messy, but I love it. Sloane's mom sees Xander's mom's ring on Penelope's finger, recognizes it, and screams, oh my gosh, you're engaged. And the two of them have a moment and they look at each other and they went, yes, we are. We are engaged, as everyone now knows publicly. Holy shit. So because it's public, it's now in the news, they go through with this marriage of convenience. They draw up contracts, they have an established timeline, they have rules, who's going to move in with whom. Her family are assholes. She's been living in a family-owned condo or townhouse, and they say she can't live there anymore because she's engaged, so she moves in with Xander. So now they have a forced proximity going on, and they both secretly are pining for the other. These two have issues separate from their relationship. Penelope and her relationship with her family. What does she want? How does she stand up for herself? Xander and how he relates to people. How does he let himself be vulnerable? And this was an instance of, it wasn't a third act breakup, but they took time apart in the third act, and I really thought it was a good idea. Total transparency. Over the course of this story, Penelope is continuing to go through with the provisions of her inheritance, which include buying property in Singapore, yes, getting married, and learning and being with Xander, dealing with the fallout from her fucking family. Xander is trying to protect her. He's trying to create and hoard power for her so she'll never be under the thumb of her family again, and he does it in a bit of a roundabout way. There's miscommunication, not on purpose, but just not communicating and things getting messed up and a little bit messy. But overall, this was a very sweet book. I love Xander. I love Xander so much. So much. And that was totally worth it. I think it was a great end to the trilogy, but I'm still gonna say my favorite was The Spare. End of chapter 1. I wasn't sure what I'd do next, but one thing was certain: by the end of the summer, I was going to be married. Penelope, you will be married. I don't know if this is a thing. I remember reading this phrase first in, what is it, Serpent in the Wings of Night? Yeah, Serpent in the Wings of Night. But I'm noticing it a lot. It's there she is. Let me know in the comments if you have seen that phrase pop up a lot more and where you heard it first. Because my note is, will this be the new good girl? Maybe. My note is, I'm loving how this marriage of convenience is going. And this is right after Sloane's mom announces to the room that they're engaged. Yes, she blinked and the sounds of the party began to prick back up. We didn't want to make a fuss. Beatrice released Penelope's hand and gently grasped her chin. Always so considerate. I just fucking love that moment of, yes, we are engaged. Oh my gosh. One of the things that Xander really has done is he has watched Penelope over the years and gleaned a lot of knowledge and a lot of insight into who she is as a person. So for example, one of the ways that's shown is when Maddox shows up to demand Penelope move back to Singapore with him, he shows up with like some sort of pastry that Penelope doesn't like, Maddox likes, but Xander, who she's now staying with in the Hamptons, I hadn't seen him this morning. But when I got downstairs, there was coffee and banana muffins waiting on the counter. And she had said when Maddox brought the other pastries that if he really knew her, he would have brought banana muffins. And my note is, he knows she likes banana muffins. Yeah, he pays attention. He's been paying attention. He's had a crush on her for years. So billionaire, but so sweet. So one of the things she has to do is have property in Singapore. She's a little overwhelmed trying to pick an apartment in a building or a condo in a building. Xander buys the whole fucking building. It's so much money, but this is his reasoning. Take your time to pick the one you want, Xander suggested. You can sign the rest over to me when you're done. This way, you can choose with the pressure off. It's so sweet. It is, but it's so much money. I looked up at him, suddenly overwhelmed with feeling. He did it to give me time, knowing I was probably a bit overcome. While I didn't need things to be taken care of for me, it was nice for my worries to be handled with care, for someone to look out for my well-being. And it's true, but like you just bought a building in Singapore. So billionaire. Poppy, which is his nickname for her. His mouth hovered a hair's breadth away from my shoulder, up the curve of my neck. Tell me to stop. And my note is, heart, slow burn. And then on the next page, you're my wife. If you like a my wife moment, he told me through gritted teeth, only I get to play with you. And my note is, sir. Oh my gosh, this is so fucking good. I mean, like they burn, the burn happens. There's a lot of text between. I'm just going to give you the dialogue. Where are we going? Kitchen, bed, pool, up against the wall, bent over the couch. Where are we starting? I need you to make a decision, because after that, I get to decide how you come, when you come, and how many times you come. I like it. Oh wait, I missed something. Wait, she has a list that he finds. Where's the list? That includes sex stuff. But he was looking at the back side. On the back were more things, but mostly things I wanted done to me. Have an orgasm without a vibrator. Get tied up. Get blindfolded. Have sex in a public place. And my note is, yes! Xander, let's just go with Xander fulfills her wishes. I do love that's one later in the scene. And then he gives a good check-in with her afterwards. So she's tied up and she's whining. I'm gonna map every inch of your skin with my mouth. You're going to have to be patient. And this is really Xander and her relationship. He considered me and what I wanted. A simple courtesy, but one I was never granted before. Xander took time to consider the things I said and the things I didn't say. And that is honestly the last thing that I highlighted in my e-arc until the end of the book, which I don't think is anything bad. It just, there was nothing that jumped out at me. Nothing bad and nothing spectacular. Solid end to the series, solid end to my week, and I was very proud with how many physical books I read. That's everything that I read from April 13th through 20th. Make sure you like and subscribe to find out what I've read since then. And as always, this is Jace holding space for you.